Hi, and welcome to the Elder Watch mini-series, Protect Your Heart and Pocketbook, Romance Scams in 2024. Elder Watch Colorado is a 20-plus year partnership between AARP and the Colorado Attorney General's Office. Elder Watch provides educational presentations to Coloradans 50-plus to help them recognize, refuse, and report financial fraud and exploitation. Additionally, we have a volunteer staffed fraud victim support helpline if you or someone you know may be the victim of fraud. My name is Jessica Zawatsky, and I am the program specialist for Elder Watch Colorado. Valentine's Day is on the brain for many of us, making this the perfect time to talk about romance scams. Romance scams are consistently in the top 10 scams reported to us here at the Elder Watch helpline by older Coloradans. In 2022, according to the FBI's IC3, the Internet Crime Complaint Center, over 67,000 Americans reported a romance scam. Nationally, victim losses in 2022 stood at over $700 million, and victim losses for those 60 plus stood at over $400 million in 2022. Unfortunately, romance scams are not going anywhere, and they keep changing and evolving as scammers are getting more sophisticated with their attacks. As a result, I am here to help you learn all about romance scams so that you can keep your heart and pocketbook safe in 2024. This video is the third in our 5-part series, Protect Your Heart and Pocketbook. Previous to this video, we covered the basics of a romance scam, as well as some of the pieces of fake identities that scammers use to convince us that they're someone that they're not. Today, we'll get into some of the manipulation tactics that scammers use, and in future sessions, we'll talk about how scammers target their victims, as well as some tips to help you debunk a romance scam. So the first manipulation technique I want to talk about is called gaslighting. Gaslighting is a manipulation technique that is intended to make someone question their sanity and reality. And fun fact, the term comes from the 1944 film titled Gaslight, starring Ingrid Bergman. Now, gaslighting in practice might look like someone telling you something that you know happened, didn't happen, or it might involve them making you believe that they were the victim in a situation when in reality they were the perpetrator. For example, let's say that a scammer convinces a victim to give them $5,000, insisting that it's only a loan and that they'll pay them back by March 1st. When March 2nd comes around, the victim might ask about this repayment as they haven't seen anything, and the scammer responds very defensively, saying, "I told you you'd get it by April 1st. You know that's when my inheritance comes in. I can't believe you think I wouldn't repay you. Who do you think I am?" Now, in this case, the gaslighting is causing the victim to doubt and question their reality, which is that they were told that they would be paid back by March 1st. In this example, we also see some of gaslighting's, I'll call them friends, or themes that are often connected to gaslighting. And these other manipulation tactics are guilt, shame, and defensiveness. Now, those three in conjunction with gaslighting make it that much more powerful as a manipulation technique, and we often see them working together in romance scams. Another form of manipulation that we very, very often see with romance scams is called love bombing. And love bombing is when an individual goes above and beyond to inundate a victim with compliments, gifts, flattery, affection, and it feels so nice, but in reality, it's disingenuous. The scammer is doing this to trick the victim into this feeling of connection and intimacy that they will later exploit. Love bombing might also entail someone saying, "I love you," very, very quickly, talking about marriage very early. And again, while these things might feel really nice and be very, very exciting, in reality, it's all a ploy to make it easier to exploit an individual from their hard earned money and make any resistance from complying with these requests more unlikely. Now, on the subject of love bombing, I want to take a quick second to talk about recycled messages. One of the reasons that romance scammers are so successful in their attacks is that they've really convinced the victims that they have a relationship and that there is love on both sides. One of the ways they do this with love bombing is beautiful flowery messages that seem like they're written just for us. But in reality, these messages are often recycled. Oftentimes, scammers will just do a quick search on the internet for love notes to send, and then they'll send them our way, maybe with minor tweaks. So if you are getting a lot of flowery messages from someone and it might seem too good to be true, it might be worth it to pop those messages into a search engine and see if they've come up anywhere else, because chances are they're not as creative and unique as we would like to believe. Another tactic that we often see in romance scams is a sense of urgency. This might take the form of a scammer saying something like, if I don't get this money in 12 hours, I'll be detained, or if we don't receive your investment by tomorrow, customs won't release our goods. Scammers use this manipulation tactic for a number of reasons. One is to cause panic over potential harm that might come to the object of our affection, prompting us to act without thinking because we love this person. We don't want anything bad to happen to them. Another reason that scammers use a sense of urgency is that it prevents us from having the time to talk through our decision with others, maybe solicit other perspectives. And in this way, it helps to maintain the scam because we're just stuck in our little love bubble without getting outside feedback. In this infographic from the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, we can see the top lies that romance scammers like to use. You might even spot some of the manipulation tactics that I've mentioned so far. The top lie per the FTC is a scammer saying that they or someone close to them is sick, hurt, or in jail. And this is a top scam because of the urgency it implies, as well as the sympathy that it might cause a victim to feel. A common component of romance scams that we also see on this list is that the scammer pretends that they are in the military, abroad, on an oil rig, or a doctor without borders. This is a powerful lie because it helps to excuse an individual's difficulty with banking, and it might also explain why they're unable to video chat, share much information, or meet in person. In this list, we also see, quote, we've never met, but let's talk about marriage. This is a perfect example of love bombing. One of the reasons that scammers are so convincing and so effective in their tactics is that they seem to be available around the clock and they always seem to have the right thing to say. They're this constant source of comfort. This illusion may be accomplished through scam teams or syndicates, many of which are located outside of the United States. These teams work in shifts, which allows for constant communication. There's always somebody there to pretend that they are your love interest. If an individual on the scam team is speaking to a victim and they're not sure what to say or do next, they can even consult with their colleagues or supervisors to figure out the best response that will keep the victim on the hook. These teams are trained in psychological manipulation and communication techniques and have tactics for every stage of the scam. One scammer who consented to an online interview even reported that his script came with a daily breakdown of what he should say every single day to sustain a victim's interest in a process that could take anywhere from days to months. In each part of the series, I will bring you a Heard on the Helpline, a real life story that we received here at the Elder Watch Helpline. And this one is a combo scam. It is both a romance scam and a charity imposter scam. We had a woman call the helpline because she believed that she was in a romantic relationship with a gentleman who was a Ukrainian soldier. They entered into this relationship and he convinced her to donate to a worthy cause. Unfortunately, the cause was fake and she gave $10,000 in this scam that turned out to be both a romance scam and a charity scam. And in this scam, we can also see some of those manipulation techniques. He says that he's located overseas, he's located in this wartime environment, which might pull at her heartstrings and also cause her to act with this sense of urgency. There's a lot of emotional manipulation put in place with this lie to ensure that the scammer ultimately got their payout. As we've mentioned previously, when it comes to romance scams as well as other types of scams, the probability of getting your money back is fairly slim. But that doesn't mean you don't have any recourse against the scammers. The first thing that you should do is if you met the individual online, on social media, on a dating site, what have you, is that you should report and block that individual to the respective website. If fraud has occurred, you should report to two places. First, you should report to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, that's the IC3, and you can report to them at ic3.gov. Secondly, you should report to the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, and you can report to them at reportfraud.ftc.gov. If you're not sure what to do, don't hesitate to give us a phone call here at the helpline. Our phone number is 800-222-4444. Select option 2. All right, my friends, thanks for joining me for the third video in our Protect Your Heart and Pocketbook Romance Scams in 2024 series. So far, we have covered the basics of a romance scam as well as some of the components of fake identities used online. Today, we covered some of the psychological manipulation techniques that scammers use to really convince us that a relationship is truly unfolding. Next time, we'll talk about how scammers target their victims, and we'll finish the series by giving you some tips to help you debunk a romance scam. As always, if you have been the victim of fraud or someone you know is the victim of fraud, maybe in a scam, or you're not sure if it's a scam or not, give us a call here on the helpline. Our phone number is 800-222-4444. Select option 2. My name is Jessica Zawadsky. This has been a presentation brought to you by AARP's Elder Watch, a partnership with the Colorado Attorney General's Office. Thanks so much for joining me today. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.